Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Death of the Dark Crusade Season 2. On this fine evening, along the fetid streets of Riverside, two Assamites once again reconverge to perform one of their sacred duties as one of the Children of Haqim, or at least to perform part of those sacred duties. Performing their second assignment given to them by the elder Lissa. Hakim al-Shair and al-Qadir have been doing some investigation with their various connections and contacts. One among the common man of the city, and the other with the more mercantile class. And both of them have found the same thing. A snitch whispering in Al-Qadir's ear. And a very wealthy buyer in Hakim's. A very, how to say, well, affluent, profitable slave ring within the north part of Riverside. One that has maintained its business, a great deal of it, even throughout the curfew. Even when the criminals themselves were supposedly more or less at war with the occupying army of Odessa. And this underground slave trade sparks your attention, particularly as it was something I believe Lissa mentioned for both of you to be on the lookout for. Of course, the only problem being is that this particular place of business appears to be within the domain of the Scourge, as he has claimed almost half of Riverside. And there is also the issue of finding out whatever appears to be the matter of this particular market, despite its rather disreputable and unethical leanings. Why does it matter to the Assamites? And so the Assamites are confronted with the obstacle of not only entering and investigating the slave ring, but also being able to get it by the Scourge.
Hakeem.
Or getting it by without him.
Hakeem, since this is sort of Al Qadir's thing, because he was sort of just going to wait. But did you get permission to be here? Because we're trespassing.
Of the Scourge?
Yes.
No, because as far as Lady Lysa says, As long as we don't as long as we don't poke and prod at any of the citizens, we'll be fine. We're just looking, as she stated.
He nods. Okay, if this is what the elder said.
Yes. Kadir takes in the fact that what Hakim brings up is true, and he did discuss that with the elder about it. Him reminding him about that fact does make him a little apprehensive in case the scourge happens to be around and is upset with our nosing about. But too late now, we're already here. So as he looks just throughout the streets as him and Hakim are walking, obviously due to the curfew, the streets are rather quiet. So Chris, outside of most likely the quiet streets of the curfew, is there anything Kadir perceives at the moment?
Do, 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 do.
Oh, I'm muted for some reason. I don't know how I did that. Sorry, I was just gonna ask. Did you say what did you hear anything about the curfew?
No, I was saying due to the curfew, I'm assuming the streets are rather quiet. But what else do I perceive? As I am.
Oh, what else do you perceive? To be honest, not a great deal. These streets seem to have been less affected by the reconstruction effort. It appears only a fragment of the effort has been put in here than the other side, the center and the southern sides of Riverside. The area is definitely improved, and you can definitely see the clear presence of militia forces as well, either by the marks and smell of conflict, or the fact that there's simply a lot of big muddy footprints that are still fairly fresh.
I see. May I No, I'm just looking at it. Face value. These footprints don't seem unusual, or should I make a roll?
No, I don't see them unusual at all.
No.
You assume though it's likely just the heavy presence of city watch and militia around in Riverside, but probably from a day or two ago, maybe, because you don't see many people around tonight. You see some, but not a great deal. Not the amount that would justify the caution that you've been showing thus far.
I see. And as me and Akeem walk through the streets quietly and trying to avoid the guards, may I? I guess that's a fair question. No, that's the best way to word it. Because the biggest thing is, it's odd that these underground slavers have been moving throughout the city in a way that the guards have not noticed them for a while now. And we're aware that the inventory is relatively large. It's not small.
Pardon, I didn't catch that last part.
And we are aware that the inventory they were transferring was relatively large, not small, right?
Yeah, what you're looking for, is, you don't really have a precise exact location in a sense. You've almost got it narrowed down to an exact location, but the information, how you've acquired information, has largely been through rumor. And precise addresses aren't necessarily a thing yet.
Okay.
They are a thing in that streets have names, people know where each other, people know where they live. And they generally make a habit of telling other people. But there's no such, there's not necessarily house numbers or anything like that. It's a lot more, it's a bit more rough and obscure, if you know what I mean.
I understand.
But you'd have directions to a fairly large, to a fairly large, it wouldn't actually be a building. It would be one of the kind of large sewer grates by the riverside docks. So you know what you're looking for, you just don't know precisely where it is. You know the area, then you just kind of need to poke around, and then you'll probably recognize it when you see it. Does mean maybe getting your feet wet a little bit. So I presume we're heading in that direction. Daryl? Did Daryl go again? Yep, Daryl's gone.
I guess make my way towards the thing.
You make your way towards the thing. So let me get on the
Sorry,
map.
I was responding to people. I apologize.
It's no problem. So yeah, you're talking the northwestern edge of Riverside.
Okay.
That's where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me get up the main map. It's not the most frequent, it's not the most modern one, but yeah. So it's actually really kind of on the edge of the Scourge's domain. It's really just his southwestern side, but is the northwestern side of Riverside.
Is it his domain or not his domain?
It is within his domain.
Okay. So I guess the most proper thing to do would be to since I was asking a retainer about like this place, am I able to get, specific location?
Yeah, you know specifically where it is, because you know your retainer knows people who have bought from here. Yeah, it's a very very large sewer grate. It's more like an entrance to the sewers, if nothing else. Like you could walk through here no problem. It's just largely locked up. But when you basically head along these like the small kind of riverside docks, so it's largely just it's pretty much there's no real buildings on the docks. It's just a small sort of wooden bridge that kind of stretches out about halfway into about like not even halfway, about a third of the way into the river.
Mm-hmm.
For docking small boats and the like.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually see some cargo off to the side, pretty much all over the docks. Most of it is overturned or has been emptied.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically have to head largely almost all the way out onto this half bridge, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically turn around, as the grating is somewhat hidden by the water.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you wouldn't see it just by standing on the edge of the river. You have to head out into the river and then turn back around, and then you can see it, as it's effectively embedded into the river, the side of the river itself. Largely covered by overgrowth and detritus.
Okay.
It exists. There's actually a small, a very sort of gradual series of steps on the pier, I guess you could call it, that you're on. That lead down to it. They do lead down into and they kind of they stop on a small kind of stone path that leads into the sewer grate, where the water kind of washes on and over it. And it is quite filthy. You can actually see a lot of the merchant docks on the other side of the river, which are much nicer looking and are far more organized. But also empty.
Sweet.
And yeah, you are basically confronted with a very large sewer grate.
Really large sewer grates.
Really large sewer grate, which is, covering a very large sewer pipe, which could fit a person. Like, you could walk in.
Okay.
Seems to be one of the main outlets of sewage in the city.
Mm. And the directions are very much so saying to go in this direction. Because I don't want to wallow in sewage if I don't have to.
Oh no, yeah, there is a path alongside the sewage. Like, it's expected that some people likely worked along down here. Probably people who maintain said sewers to keep it from collapsing. They're hardly here to clean the water supply. They're just here to make sure that the sewer system doesn't actually collapse in on itself, because that would be even worse for the city than this current sewer system is. Complex and an accomplishment that it got made, but also not exactly the shining example of modern day architecture. Or Dark Ages architecture.
I make my way down.
Yeah, you actually find that the grate it's pretty easy to just move to one side. You can just dislodge it and just kind of put it to one side.
You should.
It is quite large, so it's quite heavy.
Not to break off the what's happening right now, but Chris, you should check the Odessa Facebook page because I think somebody's operating on misinformation. Was important.
Okay, that's fine. I'll check that in a bit. I'll just continue with the scene for the moment.
Alright, so basically, follow on the path. Making like notes of things.
Yep. Daryl, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Here. Okay, so you and Hakeem have just entered into a very large water outlet for the city alongside the docks.
Mhm.
The grating itself was quite heavy because it's a very large pipe, like you can walk down it.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's not so heavy that you require potence. You're able to set it to one side. A little bit cramped walking along the pathway. Obviously, your heads are quite close to the ceiling of the piping, but other than that, or the pipe. And Al-Qadir, you and Hakeem, you both know you're supposed to go right, then right again, then left. It doesn't go too far. It doesn't. It's not particularly deep in. In fact, if you went much deeper, you'd be entering the sewers proper, which would be considered the domain of the Nosferatu. But you know these outlets are kind of considered surface level and aren't really considered Nosferatu domain. It's kind of that weird sort of, in many cases, grey area, like, whose domain is it? I guess the surface dwellers in the Nosferatu can share. But yes, it doesn't take you, you know you have to go right then left. So you effectively go around in a U shape, then head left. And once you head around this corner, it is getting very dark at this point. The areas here are not lit. So it gets pitch black pretty quickly. Particularly at night, there is really not a lot of natural light to begin with, so it is very, very dark here.
With a realization of this particular darkness, Kilir will look over to Hakeem and will ask him if he knows the spells to generate light without producing flame.
We actually don't need that. You sort of have the eyesight yourself.
Okay, then.
As long as there's at least some light, we can make things out. Or hear it before it happens. Assuming you know that much.
And with that, Chris, are we able to continue further, or should we make some rolls?
Depends. Are people using all specs?
Yes, I am.
Definitely once it got darker, I would start using it.
Okay. Yes, you can both. I believe you can both see perfectly fine because your aspect levels are actually quite high. So. Yeah, you're able to see just fine. It's a little bit dim, even with all specs, but other than that, it's not really an issue. I think for you, in particular, actually, Hakeem, it really is just as if you're in a well lit room.
Mm-hmm.
Other than there really being no source of light other than the natural light that is now been largely dissipated into the sewers. But yeah, you make your way through, and once you get to your directions, you make your way to a rather it's a modest. It's a modest but noticeable set of almost cellar-like doors, as if there were doors to a cellar on the outside of a building.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat wide, with robust handles. Facing at a low-lying diagonal angle. So largely, so you have to look down to see them. But there's no real. There's not really anything else of note within this particular direction. You followed the directions correctly.
Mm-hmm. Do I hear anything outside of the door?
Are you
To indicate where?
using heightened hearing?
Yeah.
I assume you're using heightened hearing. Okay, yes. And your specs is there's that. Okay. So yeah. Feel free to make me a perception alertness roll at difficulty 5.
Oh, me or?
You, Hakeem.
Okay.
Al Qadir, if you're using heightened hearing, you may make a perception alertness roll at difficulty 7.
Alrighty.
Do I still
Yes.
minus my dots and aspects?
No, I'm accounting for that in the roll, so I've already counted out of your difficulties.
Gotcha.
I think I failed. Yeah, those 2 ones, so I failed.
That's unfortunate.
ECDs.
Yeah, unfortunately, Al Qadir, you're not able to pick anything out. You just hear the flowing of the water and the rustling of your own clothes.
Yeah. I make it out. 3 successes.
Awesome. Yes, Hakeem, you can definitely hear You can definitely hear the sound of human activity down here. It is not particularly loud. It is quite sparse.
Okay, so someone's down here. All right, so we open it. I open the door. Someone's here. He says.
Kadir will just point out that this we could be intruding and provoking them if we just open the door.
Well, we didn't make the trip for no reason.
He does nod to that. I just think we should brace ourselves just in case.
Open the door.
Kadir will begin opening the door slowly.
Okay, you begin to head down. It's not a ladder. It's actually just a small flight of stairs. You can see, particularly for specs. On the other side is another door. So you're kind of going through like a stairway. That's also something of an antechamber.
Oh, so that makes sense. Okay. So I guess go through the other set of doors. That's
The
impressive.
other set of doors.
That's impressive that he could hear that far.
You got high specs. You can hear very far.
Just hearing through two sets of doors is pretty amazing. Like comparatively.
It's true. But yeah. You go to open this set of doors and you find that this one is actually locked. From what you can tell by trying to open it, probably by at least three mechanisms. And there is actually a small shutter on the door that just kind of shifts open, revealing two beady sets of eyes.
Hello? What language is he speaking? If he responds to me.
He just goes, "Who are you?"
Oh,
he looks rather baffled, and he speaks in. He will speak in. He'll speak in Arabic, although it's clearly in a foreign accent.
What accent am I picking up?
That's a good question. I never actually considered this. I'm actually gonna. We'll say.
Just because I deal with people, Hakeem deals with people all day. He probably
Yeah.
has an ear for it.
Yeah, Eastern European. Baltic?
Okay. Okay. Here to make a trade? It's acceptable?
Okay. Are you here to make a trade?
I am.
Fair enough. And another question, because this will be something noteworthy. Oh, another thing to note is you can see his eyes not only because you're using Auspex, because from the shutter you can see clear light coming from the shutter.
What kind of light? Is it like torchlight or what?
Torchlight. It really couldn't be anything else, to be honest.
Okay.
In like this far down, this far along, in in an entirely kind of closed off interior space, it would probably have to be torchlight.
Mm.
But in some cases, there's some mosses that can get off of bioluminescence. So,
Well, it's definitely not the mosses.
Shaw goes above his face to obscure features, so they'd have to look to get a read on him.
Mhm. Yeah, he looks at you for a moment.
Mhm.
Are any of you carrying weapons visibly?
He'd have to look.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It takes him a few seconds. He kind of eyes you, kind of gauges your response. Like he's clearly sizing you up. None of you need to roll empathy to see that he's kind of trying to judge you via first impressions, and he'll just say, "What you looking to buy then?"
Things that you can't buy at the merchant district. Are we really going to play this game?
Fair enough. It's been a long day for me too. He will shut the shut the shutter. Can't really put it any other way. I really wanted to, but no, I'm doomed to a lack of originality. And you will hear several locks come off, a chain come off on the door. And it will open, and he will actually stop, not kneeling, but bending over slightly as he opens the door for you. It's you see an absolute hulk of a man, about 7 foot tall, balding, mid-40s, wearing a very thick leather apron.
Does he smell funny? I.e., does he have the smell of like of a vessel, somebody's property?
That's
Interactions will be very different based on this
I
answer.
would say this is you could
Only because that type of blood has like a scent.
yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're using heightened sense of smell. I will say you are on a sewer though.
Get me at a higher def.
No, I think the problem would be is if you used heightened senses
Would it be
here,
overpowering?
you would be at risk of overstimulation.
That's completely fair.
could we do a quick aura sight? That should still be able to tell if it's a ghoul or not.
Yeah, aura perception works and doesn't run the same risks.
Okay. It's perception, empathy, correct?
Yes. And I believe it's difficulty 7 as well.
I think it's based off of your aspects. Russia. Is it based off of your aspects, Chris?
Yeah, it's difficulty 8 minus your Auspex rating. So,
So 4 minus 8, so it's the 4 for me.
4 for you. Diff 6 for Daryl. I think Daryl succeeds at this check.
So
Yep, Daryl gets 4 successes, and Hakeem gets 1. So I think both of you are able to determine the manner of creature. Yes, this man is clearly a ghoul.
No.
His his aura is largely human, but it does have odd pale blotches here and there that do mark him as the retainer to another.
And his emotional landscape at this moment.
Oh, pardon?
His emotional landscape at this moment.
Yeah, you got a lot of successes. You can actually tell this, and so does Hakim. Hakim can tell the main color. You get a lot more detail though. So, let me look up the little thingamajig for it. So Hakim, you largely get you get the color of rose, so he's feeling fairly generous this evening. Kadir, you also get his main color appears to be rose. It seems to embody the center of his aura. But around it lie various other colors that seem to mottle and shift at a fairly gradual pace. He seems emotionally stable. His emotions don't seem to be changing particularly rapidly. You do notice when he looks at you, the color of strangely both rose and lavender intensify ever so slightly. He appears to be acting generous towards you, but appears somewhat conservative, cautious as well. So he seems to be acting in spite of his own caution. You also get the colors of light blue, which doesn't change all that much of his aura, and vermilion. So quite contented. He appears contented and appears to be quite. It appears to also be in a generous mood as well, but appears to have some sort of reservations regarding you.
A little odd in this kind of environment, but okay. But I will, commune with Hakim and to simply state, you are the merchant. I believe you have a better way of communicating with this man.
As you wish.
I'm standing right here, fellas.
I said commune as in commune with K-Knight, so.
That's a ritual that takes a while. Did you do that at the start of the scene?
I believe it stays in effect once you have the connection established.
One sec, let me check how long it lasts, because I know it doesn't last forever. And by forever, I mean not ages.
Communion with K-Knight. It actually lasts until one scene.
Oh, in which case you're absolutely fine. If you, I think you did. Did you enact it at the start of the scene?
I know I didn't.
Did
But
you enact it at the start of the scene, Daryl?
No,
I know you used Domino's Life.
I had a Domino Life and extinguished, so you're correct. I do not have commune with K-Knight.
In which case you cannot commune with him unless you enter a meditative stance for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Or I can do another thing. I could just cast this ritual right now.
Yeah, because you do have if you have your talisman with you, you can basically bypass all time restrictions on the ritual.
Yep. So I'll just roll it. Yes. Hakeem will just hand you, I guess like a 10 piece, the equivalent of a penny.
Hmm.
Do you want me to handle this? You get clear in your head.
Yeah, there will be a response. I don't deal with merchants very often. I don't deal with merchants very often. So yes, if you would.
Um, your wares, please. Speaking to the guy. Is this your native tongue?
What language are you speaking in?
Arabic. I'm not trying to be rude. Like, if he wants to speak in Arabic, we can do Arabic. But he's asking because
Oh,
reasons.
hardly, but it's...
Which do you prefer?
It's... Well, I speak at your pleasure, sir, so it's not it's no concern of mine.
But since you are here and we're here to do business, it is important that I put you at ease. So please, if you would.
I'm just security. I'm not the one, I don't need to be pleased, sir. Far from it.
But everyone has a purpose, sir.
Yeah, mine is
Correct?
security. I throw people out when people get angry.
I see. A humble man, then. I shall leave you. I won't push the subject. Who am I speaking with this evening? As Hakeem starts scanning the room, probably seeing him before he mentions it.
Dealer's over there.
Walk over to the dealer.
Patron. Sorry, he won't say patron. Host of this evening will not be available, I'm afraid.
The who of this evening?
The host.
Would my guru have let me know who the host was?
Nope. They don't have a name. They were not given it. Neither of you were, actually. Appears this person, whoever the host is, seems to like to keep their name perhaps out of the larger picture, which, considering the nature of this operation, would seem fairly wise.
Alright, I don't like his answer, so I have that level of respect. So, da, 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 da.
Oh, you can use that level of horse perks? My Assamites keep obfuscating. What's going on here?
Yeah, not this one though. You know, just let you know. Now I'm just gonna get the other thing. I'm making a beeline to 6. I'm just pointing that out.
So,
does I just want to ask: is there like a major difference between the way telepathy works in Modern Knights in this version?
let me double check real quick.
Or is it still intelligence subterfuge?
You still roll intelligence subterfuge, and difficulty is still equal to the victim's current willpower points, which is for this person 5. Which means
does it still give away that somebody's trying to look into his head?
That requires a roll on their part. They do have enough. If they have 4 or less willpower, they'll believe the thoughts or the thoughts being brought up by telepathy to be their own. Although they have more willpower than that, so they will understand that on some level that they aren't just remembering something at random, or they aren't just thinking about some particular subject matter like most mortals would. This person is a bit stronger and intelligent than that.
All right, but with
They
a
do
general,
need to make. They need in order. they need to make an intelligence awareness roll, which is difficulty equal to the Auspex user's manipulation plus Auspex to get an idea of the source of the telepathy. But even then, they may not know how the user got the thoughts, got into the head of themselves.
If we're just talking about directions and informations, would that be enough to sort of judge up a thought? In sort of like in passing conversation, which is what he's trying to do.
Because they have the willpower, they will be aware that something is amiss. They won't necessarily know what that is, but they will know that the thoughts and memories that are coming to the surface of their mind are not their own. They'll be aware that something is interfacing with them, like that, like something weird is happening. They won't necessarily know it's Auspex. They won't even necessarily know someone is reading their mind, but they will know that something is weird. They will spot that something is wrong with a successful intelligence awareness roll. Basically, with a successful intelligence awareness roll, they'll know that you're the source of what's going on. If they fail, all they'll recognize is that something is strange. But they won't necessarily know that their mind is being probed. They'll just know that they feel weird. They have a strange sensation.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'll look for like the main guy. Well, the seller. If that's okay.
Yeah, there's a main dealer. He is standing before it's a fairly how to say it's not gruesome, it's demeaning. Basically, there is something of a stand where the slaves, the merchandise of this evening are. It should be noted, this room is not even decorated all that much. It's been cleaned up, and it is well lit. But other than that, there isn't much else.
Gotcha.
And it's not that busy. There aren't a bunch of people around, but there are some fairly affluent people here, as well as some very shady people here, and those of both varieties.
Are we the only ones here?
No, you're not the only people here. But there aren't that many people here. It's not like a crowded marketplace.
Gotcha.
It's sort of a fairly select gathering. You know, a small crowd of maybe 12, 2 people max.
Okay.
The room is fairly large. It could probably fit over twice that. But yeah, the various peoples that have been put on display as merchandise, of which there are about 4 on the stand and 12 yet to be displayed. They're all in heavy
manacles.
Yeah, and they're not in cuffs. They're in how to say? I don't know what the word for it is, but
Reins? Like
it's like you know, when it's like wooden cuffs. But you can't move your hands because it's just a block of wood that seal up your wrists.
Gotcha.
Or that just close down on your wrists.
So wooden restraints. Okay.
Yeah, they're restraints. The rims are held together, or the edges are held together by iron. I'm not sure if it's cast iron, but we'll say it's cast iron. I'm probably wrong. And needless to say, there is a great air of horrendous, just absolute hopelessness and depression surrounding these people. At the same time, they seem very subdued. There's no real, they don't see any reason to resist. This doesn't even require an empathy roll, just based on how obvious it is.
So, that's approaching the dealer. How much? How much for an adult male?
One moment, sir. He speaks more fluently than the security, and doesn't appear to be clearly Arabic. He's also heavily veiled.
Or perception.
Yep.
Okay.
Just make the roll again. Shouldn't be a problem.
Five successes, my friend.
So they are human. They are not Gould. They are not vampiric. They're not supernatural. You got a lot of successes. So you get a good idea of what this person is. Largely light blue. Violet, vermilion, and white. So they do not feel guilty at all. They are, and I quote, clear of conscience.
Okay, so he's a shitheel, gotcha.
They seem to lack any sort of empathy for what the current situation is.
So the
He'll give you a number. It's normally slaves would cost around at least 3 levels of resources. However, this is underground, and criminals, so they can cut the cost to around 2 resource levels.
I can obviously pay for it, but
yeah. Oh yeah, you can definitely pay for it.
So I'm not actually going to do that because I'm actually trying to build another resources, and this comes in direct, contradiction. So, and you said the proprietor is absent?
Pardon?
The proprietor, that's the word you use to describe the person that is like the greeter, proprietor?
Yeah, or rather the dealer, the seller.
Dealer. Who's the guy that they said was absent? Just trying to get my...
The host. Or whoever's, or the boss, or whoever's running this. He's been given a couple names now. You can't overhear it from the crowd.
Okay, well,
the big guy's not the only security figure here, but he's by far and away the largest and the most intimidating.
So, being that this is the dealer, it would make sense that he would have some negotiations with the actual person. So I'm gonna try telepathy.
Okay.
Intelligence for subterfuge.
This person will not have enough willpower to determine what you're doing to them. So, yeah.
5d10. I can't spend a point of willpower.
Not for discipline rolls. Discipline rolls don't get.
Not that I needed it.
Oh, that you need it. It's difficulty free, dude.
Okay, so
okay. You're looking for a specific piece of information. You're looking for who this guy answers to. Which
A
is
name.
this guy. Surprise, surprise.
Allspex is a hell of a drug.
It is.
I should probably get my abilities later, but fuck it, Allspex is a wonderful drug.
And yeah, he kind of the dealer kind of pauses for a moment and squints. Says, "You got a lot of successes." This gives him like a little migraine for a few moments.
Because
I mean, you just rip the information out of his head. It doesn't feel very good. He stops for a moment. He says, my apologies.
You okay?
Completely different world I appear to be in. Back to business. Sorry.
Good idea to get some air from time to time. Maybe
yes,
it's
this
your
place is
poor
quite
humor.
stuffy, isn't it?
I bet.
Alas, we do not really have the pleasure of choice. And
I understand the obligation of duty.
Yes, let's call it that. And yeah, do you actually buy the slave?
Do I get a name?
You can give him one.
Oh, okay. That's fair, Chris. That's legit. So we'll give him a name. I'll figure something out later. And just sort of like I'm basically looking for like the comings and goings. Does anything weird happen here? So on and so forth.
So nothing on the surface here appears to be weird other than this extremely illegal activity. You know, this place is obviously ran by who's on screen right now. I'll switch back now.
That's the image I get. God damn it.
I'm curious, does this area look like mobile or disheveled, or does it seem like it's been here for a while?
Who looks disheveled?
The area, just in general, does this area seem secure or more mobile? Like, does
It's
it
very
seem like
secure. It's very secure.
okay, so it's not like this particular place moves to place to place to place. This is a designated place of meeting of these people.
Maybe. I mean, they could meet in multiple locations. You don't really know that.
That is true.
But you know they at least come to me here on occasion. This place, however, I will say is definitely secure, but it relies much more heavily on its secrecy than its than having 24 guards out on the entrance. There are quite a few guards in the interior. There are about a dozen, not including the ghoul.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I get.
That is what you get. Actually, you know what? Because you got 5 successes, you begin kind of paging through this guy's mind. Looking back into his memories, you see the various buyers, some of the crosser members of various noble houses, I'll see if I can get a few names up for you.
Ooh, scandal.
Scandal. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, you get Sebestev, Rochi. These names are mentioned several times.
Mm-hmm.
You hear of other what appear to be effectively branch families to other pseudo major houses.
Are any of them Jewish?
Are you making me roll I'll roll
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm making you think, Chris. I'm sorry.
No. It's good. It's good. I will roll to. Yes.
God damn it.
There is one family. Because there isn't actually a major noble house of the Jewish faith. In terms of political clout, the Jewish community doesn't actually have a whole lot.
About to fix that.
But
I'm like about to get a
you
little
hear of
Zion.
a branch family connected to the House of Rochi. I'll give you a name for it later.
No problem. I'll poke you about it later.
You also, as you're going through, can you make me a wits awareness, because you might miss this detail, because you're kind of paging through this guy's mind, like
Wits what?
Wits awareness. You're kind of just paging through this guy's mind is it fast and efficiently as possible for information. Which he seems to have gotten accustomed to at this point, because he doesn't seem to be reacting to it anymore. And there was the minor migraine. Ooh, that is unfortunate.
Can I spend a point of willpower? You were talking while I said it.
Yes. I will allow that. Okay, so you get a single success. So you get you do it's this is not a buyer. This is someone who was sneaking through. Wasn't sneaking, no, they were walking through the crowd. It's like a passing memory. You get this face.
Who is that?
That is the regent of Clan Tremere.
We are in the right place then.
But you don't know what they've been doing here. You only get the passing glimpse of this face that seemed to strike this dealer as unusual, as unnerving. They seem to be somewhat mildly unnerved by that person.
Can I focus in on that memory with 5 successes?
You have a very large vocabulary of information to go through. Your 5 successes was to find out the host, and
I can roll again.
To get access to that. You can roll again. Yeah, you can. It doesn't actually doesn't cost you anything to actually try again. So yeah, you can just keep doing it. Just gonna see, is there anything? They don't have willpower.
No, this guy's my bitch, Chris.
Yeah, this guy is your bitch. You can you can keep doing this. You can.
I can keep abusing him.
Okay. What do you do while you're trying to read his mind, though? Because he's still trying to engage with you.
I'm basically asking about, like, who's the oldest male that you have? Is he vibrant, strong, healthy?
Oh yeah, you'll be showing around.
Yeah, basically, and I'm going to go through the link with Al Qadir's like keep him talking. Like I found something interesting. Like
Okay. Then, as I take notice of
I'll try
this,
again. Fuck it, just keep talking. Like,
yeah, Kadir, the particular slave we
not a
were
bot, just a failure.
inquiring, is there anything special about him or her?
uh, the regent, the Prime Regent of Clan Tremere has been here.
And Kadir will just keep it in the back of his mind and keep talking to this man, distracting him for Hakeem to do whatever he's doing.
That's another 5 successes, Chris. I failed the first time and got 5 on the second time.
Oh, there you go. So
you might get another headache, but we're talking.
yeah, so 5 successes is you begin to see why he was focusing on the region. It wasn't actually the region he was really focusing on in particular, or rather, it wasn't what caused him to look over there. Rather, he was unnerved by the region, and that's why the memory stuck. But it's not why he looked at him.
Why did you look at him?
He's looking at him because he was walking with this gentleman. They seemed to be in some sort of discussion, but he was halfway, kind of finishing off a transaction. He didn't hear what they were talking about. There was a lot of people talking. And they were just kind of walking, and they were in discussion as they both were walking to a separate room off to the side, which is basically, it's a fairly large, kind of like small hall. Imagine this place probably took some time to carve out, maybe a few months, probably a few weeks to make it look reasonable. It's a place of business.
Okay.
Um,
Is this room in this place?
It is in this place. This is where he was making the sale. He was making the sale in the same place as he is now. And this other room is on the far end of the hall. You know from this dealer's memories that he is not allowed to go in there. You know that nobody is allowed to go in there. You do recall, or you do recall from his memories that only he and the regent go in there. Only ever them. From what he remembers. But they come out with something.
Do I get what that something is?
It's a very large sack. Sometimes it's a sack, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a crate. Sometimes it's a set of crates. Sometimes it's several sets of sacks. He doesn't know what they are. He doesn't know what's in them, and he doesn't really want to know. This is kind of above his pay grade. If he's not being told by his superior what this is, he's going to assume it's not his business because he doesn't want to die.
Secrets. Scrying is a bit obtrusive. Or, no, matter of fact, no, it's not. This is what I'm going to do, Chris. Since, there is a conversation about, carts and things getting moved. Usually things fall off the cart. Would I be able to search around Auspex for something while in conversation? Basically looking around, under the guise of looking around, and looking at like their strongest quote unquote slave, looking for something that may have fallen off the cart.
Make me a wits investigation because you're kind of doing this on the fly. You're not really able to kind of it's not like establishing a crime scene. You're kind of trying to sneak this one in. So yeah, make me a wits investigation. You may use your Auspex.
What's my diff? What's my starting diff?
Normally diff would be 8 because again it's really on the fly, but and there's not, it's like you're not kind of sure what you're looking for, but you're looking for something, a clue as to what the hell is in these crates and sacks.
Okay.
So
my
it would
starting
be
diff-
it would be difficulty 4 for you, I think, because your Auspex are lowest out. Fortunately, there aren't enough people in here to really be overpowering to your hearing, and obviously the room isn't really bright enough to overpower your sight.
Wits investigation. One success. One success. I will tell through the link Al-Qadir to look. Specifically what to look for. So you can make that wits investigation. Daryl, if you're still there.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So that's one success for me, Chris.
You don't find anything of note, I'm afraid. There's not really much here. Like, you're looking on the ground, you're kind of looking to where the door is, and you're not really finding anything of note. Just sort of dust. Maybe the old wooden splinter, that's it. So nothing's falling out of the crates or sacks. They're probably quite secure.
Roll
or
Daryl.
perhaps you've just gotten unfortunate. Yeah, Daryl, you can roll. Difficulty for you is 6.
Yep. Perception or awareness?
Perception investigation. No, wits investigation. Sorry.
Willpower.
Oh yeah, normally actually you wouldn't get your Auspex to that roll because it's not a perception roll, but it's already happened, so I'm not going to be mean. You got 3 successes of it anyway. I think. No, you didn't. Then you got unlucky with that roll. I think. Yeah.
I got unlucky.
Excuse me, I do not have investigations.
Oh, then you can't make the roll.
Bro.
I have Earth Wisdom.
Higher def, Chris, please.
No, if you don't have a knowledge, you can't make the roll. That's how knowledge is.
No, I'm talking about for me. I'll try again at a higher diff.
You can try again at a higher diff? Yeah, roll a difficulty 6. Actually, yeah, because I've applied all specs to your wits roll, I may as well just do it for the next roll, the next investigation rolls you wish to make. So
I'm spending another point of willpower. God.
Okay, keep in mind how much you have left, because you only gain 1 back once per month, and with nature.
I know. Ugh. This is important. God damn it. 4 successes.
Damn. Okay.
My second willpower.
What would you see? You see, because there really isn't a lot here, so the information, the evidence you're looking for is extremely scarce, and doesn't help that this place is cleaned regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one moment. I apologize. I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you notice something about the door.
Mm-hmm. Do I know it's a piece of the door?
No, it's because there isn't really any evidence surrounding the door or on the outside, but it is something about the door itself that you notice. One is
Mm-hmm.
that the door appears quite it is very dense, it's very thick. You have to walk
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of walk up to the door to do this as well. Just because it's not really the fact that you can see things of incredible detail, but if you don't have the correct angle, then you just don't have the correct angle. So you kind of have to walk up to it a little bit, not like really close, but you kind of have to peer at it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of take walk a few yards towards it, disengage from your conversation. God dang it. You notice the door is very thick. It's very dense. The hinges are reinforced. In fact, there is more than a regular set of hinges. There are multiple hinges. The door has multiple locks from this side, not from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
There is no shutter on a door like the prior door you used to get in, which
Mm-hmm.
the security ghoul was using.
Gotcha.
And the door has well, I mean, it kind of goes out saying because it's a door, but it has almost zero ground clearance. Like, you'd be very hard pressed to kind of look underneath the door, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this thing would probably run along the floor a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the wall around the door also appears to be somewhat reinforced. But only part ways, only around the door, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can find out though from where you're at right now. There's just not a lot to work with where you're at right now. It appears this place is cleaned regularly. Whatever's coming in and out is very secured, very well secured. And there are no mishaps. You know, there's no accidents. There are no little leftover clues for you to peruse. That this place is fairly well scrubbed. You know, looks like looks like the Scourge runs a tight ship here, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, the parties involved are good at covering their tracks at the very least. Like, or rather, they're not amateurish.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, not amateurish. They're professionals. Needless to say.
How far is the door from where I'm at right now?
10 yards?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the room's about 50 yards across.
Can I get a perception alertness to see how many people are actively observing me?
There seems to be a lot of casual observers. No one really paying too much attention, other than the ghoul.
Mm.
He appears to have Zanu.
Okay.
Definitely keeping an eye on you.
Because I'm a tricksy one.
Hmm.
There's one thing. I would actually ask him to take me over to like his which ghoul is actually
This guy at front door. He's basically just got a stool and he's sitting by the front door. He was watching the crowd, but now he's watching you in particular.
God damn it, Chris.
What is Al-Qadir doing?
Yeah, what are you doing after that?
I don't know. I'm kind of amazed with your action line of action at this point, and unfortunately, I actually need to get going.
Okay.
Okay.
So the last thing I'll do then, because I won't like hold up the scene, is
You're kind of reaching the limit of what you can find here, at least right now.
no, there's one more thing I can do, Chris.
Oh, there's one more thing you can do.
A deck stealth to see if I can get over by the door and try like a quick spirit touch on the door. If you're all out.
Yeah, you can do that.
Would I be able to add my celerity to my deck stealth? And would this be supernatural?
You want to get up to the door without being noticed?
Exactly.
The ghoul is looking directly at you, and this is a fairly open room. Like, there is a small crowd around where the transactions are taking place, but that's about it.
Gosh. He's left, so I can't use him. So.
Fortunate.
Unfortunate. Would I be able to, on a slim chance, if someone else walks in, would I be able to slip sort of like casually by the door? I.e., if he's like in conversation with somebody else, would I be able to deck stealth then? I'll stay an extra 10, 20 minutes to see if anybody else comes in.
I'll roll a d10 for you. You get a 1. Unfortunately, no one enters within the next hour or so. In fact, it looks like business is very slow tonight. You get a 1, so you get the worst result. Unfortunately, no one is going to be entering entering through that door for the rest of the
sucks
scene.
a lot, Chris.
Yep, no more buys tonight, I'm afraid. You were the last two. How excellent.
Fortuitous. Two more things I want to check before I go.
A ghoul will walk up to you. The security ghoul. He'll just kind of casually walk up to you.
Hello, sir.
Oh, hello, sir. I was just looking to see how you're doing. You just looked a little reticent. Saw you make a purchase. Is there anything troubling you? Anything I can help you with?
No, it's just that I'm more or less my buyer was more or less a little specific about what he wanted. And I'm just making sure that I'm getting, if I get anything, the right thing. Just a little lost in thought.
Lofty expectations. I can understand that. Yeah, well, if there's something specific you're looking for, did you mention it to actually, he says, did you mention it to Abdi over there? What you're looking for?
I did. I did, but the work that my proprietor is asking for, you don't quite have what I want, but how often do you get more stock?
Well, with a curfew, everything's been a bit up in the air, but we usually get new stock around on a weekly basis. Can't tell you when, of course, but I can tell you it's weekly.
With that, I want to.
But if there's anything in particular, just let me know. I'll pass it on to Abdi, and we'll reserve it for you.
I'll keep that in mind. He will walk over to the dealer.
Yeah, the dealer's name is Abdi.
Abdi. I walk to Abdi. Basically, I'll make the request of, a strong, resolute man. I have no intention of actually coming, but with that, I'll ask for some token of proof, nothing big, whatever he's willing to say that I can come back, like proof that it'll be here for me.
I tell you what, shall I do something up? I will sign it, and then when you come back, you will have my signature on an agreement for me to reserve the stock you're looking for. So if I do go back on my word, you will have my signature on this agreement, and you can say, "Look, this guy's a backstabbing piece of shit." He's basically offering to kind of write you up like a minor agreement, like, this is the sort of person you're looking for. I agree to reserve this for insert your name, whatever name you want to put here, and then signed Abdi. So that way you basically have his signature to an agreement, so you can say, look, this is what this guy agreed. He has to do this for me. I have first dibs on this person. That's the Assamite office gets again.
Oh, I was muted. I was talking. I'm sorry. And take the piece of paper, and I thank him. I make my way out the door, leaving.
Yeah, and Alcador will follow you.
With that, telepathy is level 4. Not telepathy. Scry is level 4. I'm going to attempt to scry the place.
Okay. Where do you scry from? Because depending on where you scry it from, that might actually be relevant. Do you scry as soon as you leave, or do you go back to your haven, or?
Basically, as I'm walking back.
Okay. No,
so
keep in mind,
basically, it's focused.
scrying
Your talisman gets rid of the time requirements, but not the material requirements for a ritual.
I would have to wait till I get back
So
home.
you
Fair
would
enough.
have to get back to Haven to do it.
Okay.
But I think you do have a scrying setup available, so you can just do that as soon as you get back.
Yeah, basically as soon as I get
And
back.
I'll tell you what. I will leave you what you find in your blue book.
Mhm.
And I think with that, would you be okay to end the scene there?
Yeah, I see.
Awesome. And then with that, with the conclusion of the first part of the Assamites investigation into this curious little underground slave trade,
Extremely fruitful.
it was quite fruitful. We shall end the scene there. Thank you, Percival. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time.